So today's video, we're going to be taking a Dell Precision T1700 and we're going to be swapping it into this Thermaltake case. Now, previously I did a video about all the adapters and everything that you're going to need to do this swap, talking about the power supply one, the front panel one, and also the fan one. So if you need information on the cables that you're going to need, where to get them, definitely check out that video. I have links and everything to kind of help you with this swap. So the Dell Precision T1700 is very similar to the Dell Optiplex. The only thing is you have this look. Motherboards are very similar, subtle differences. So we'll talk about exactly what would be slightly different if you had an Optiplex versus this Precision, but pretty much it's the same thing. It's very simple, it's very easy, and it won't take much of your time as long as you have these adapters and you're able to just use common sense and put it together. So let's talk about that. So what are we going to be doing? We have this case over here, which is our Thermaltake SG100. I actually used this before, and we're going to pop everything that we need in there, and we'll talk about what we're putting in there into this case. And we'll have a little RGB bling and some customization so it can show you how you can take your Precision and make it kind of cool looking, or Optiplex. What else are we going to do? So when you're deciding this, you have two options. You could just swap what you have and put it in there, or you could kind of do some upgrades, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to be taking this, our Cooler Master i71C, because it has some cool RGB bling, and we're going to be swapping it out, and we'll talk about how we're able to do that in this case. Then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be popping in, of course, a solid state hard drive, our mechanical to store all our games and data that we need. And yes, we're going to be upgrading our CPU. So now the CPU in here is an i3 4th gen, but you can put the Xeons. It does come with Xeon variants of it. We're going to be putting the Xeon E1240 V3 on it. It's a decent one, slightly slower than the i7 4th gen, but I mean, we're talking about maybe 2 to 3%, very not much, and the price is literally 75% cheaper than what you can get for an i7 4th gen. The i7 4th gens for this are still going for $120. These could easily be had for about $30 to $40, just depending on where you're looking at. So this is the option that we're going to go. Another option you can do is you can actually put the 1270 V3. I think there's a 1280. Don't quote me on that one, but 1270 V3, which is a little faster than the i7 4th gen. But then it's cheaper than the i7 4th gen. But ideally, we want to save a little money, and well, this was the way to go. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead. Let's switch camera angles, and let's talk about what we need to do first to prep it for our new case. So now we have our case. It's laying on its back for the most part. What do we need to do? We need to take out exactly what we're going to use. So this is where you got to start planning and thinking of what you want to do. If you're going to use the onboard graphics card, which some people do, then you're not going to need this. You're going to need to take this power supply with you. Also, if you're going to use a power supply that doesn't need PCI Express power, you can also use this power supply. That'll kind of save you a little bit money, what, $40 to $50 on a power supply, depending on what you're getting from them. In our case, we're going to be upgrading our graphics cards to a R9 270. Got a review on this, so definitely check it out, or the review should be coming, one of the two, but definitely check it out on that one. So we're not going to need the power supply, so we can strike that out. If the new case you're using has a DVD player slot, 5¼ bay, then you'll want to remove this. Ours doesn't. I don't use it. My customers don't ever ask for it, so that can stay. What else are you going to use? If your Optiplex or Precision comes with a mechanical hard drive, you could go ahead. You could use that, take that out, and reuse that. Ours, in fact, I didn't realize it did. I'm glad I looked at it. Ours does. Ours comes with a 1 terabyte, so we have an extra hard drive. That's pretty cool. So definitely take out your hard drive. This one has some screws in it over here, so unscrew them, take out your hard drive, put that to the side. We'll do that in a little bit. So the next thing you want to do is, once you've removed your hard drive and decided which way you're going with your power supply, video option, or if you need your DVD drive, unplug everything. We really don't need to keep anything in here except our SATA cables, which we can. Now keep in mind they have smaller cables, so you might have to get a longer one just depending on your case, but we'll keep them, and if we're able to use them, we'll use them. Have 2 over here. Motherboards already, and I've already disassembled most of this, but motherboards unplugged. Just kind of move things out of the way so you're not having to fight with the motherboard. So I just typically like to unplug everything, which some come off easy, some don't. There we go. So we can just kind of bend that back over here. Take these, lift these up so they're out of the way. Next thing you have over here is your power adapter. You don't need this. If you're buying those adapters from Harbor Freight, which you'll see later on in the video, you don't need this. If you don't have that, then you might need that to do some splicing, or you could just try to do the pinout on this. I did do a video on that. I'll put a link to that, but we're going with the adapters to make this easy. Make sure you unplug everything else, and as you can see, I have everything out over here. Next thing you'll do, you'll take out your motherboard screws, which I've had this motherboard out, so I only have one holding in there. Once you have that out, slide out your motherboard. Now, it is a lot easier if you take out the fan over here, and they have just these little rubber pieces that hold them in, so I take out the fan. It's just easier. It works for me. Do you need the fan? No, because with an adapter, you'll be able to use a 120. These are only, I believe, 80 millimeter fans, so you want the 120 anyway. So now we have our motherboard. It already has our RAM, has our CPU heatsink, which we're going to be swapping all this out, and we'll go ahead, we'll put this to the side. Now, what else will we need from this case? Right over here, it has the rear I/O. Do you have to have it? No, but if you have it, use it. Smack it a couple of times. Rear I/O plate. So, and that's pretty much it. That's all you're going to need from here. Everything else, we could go ahead and either scrap it or just put it to the side. I typically keep these. You never know when you get an Optiplex that might need a power supply or Precision, DVD drives. Some people like them, some people still use them, or better yet, you might come up with something else to have fun with this with. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get this out of here, and then we're gonna jump to the motherboard. Motherboard. So what are we gonna do first? We're gonna leave the RAM because this is 16 gigs of DDR3, and we don't have no need to take it out since that's the memory we're going to be using. So let's go ahead, let's get out our heatsink. We're not going to be using this heatsink. Still keep it. These are good parts to have. So my advice when you're doing these swaps, kind of keep as much spare parts as you can. You never know when you have to repair a Precision or an Optiplex for somebody, and these are good to have because these parts are sometimes a little expensive and a little annoying to find. So don't throw anything away. Something my dad always taught me, don't throw it away because you never know when you might need it. Alright, so we got this out. We're going to take out our power connector. We're done with this. This will find it at home. Yeah, I know the fan has this connector, but we could use an adapter and just reuse it for something else, so still good. CPU, i3 4th gen. So gotta go. This thing is some weak sauce over here, and good for office, horrible for gaming, in my opinion. So, what we got? This is our Intel Xeon. Let's see if that comes in. E3 1240 V3. 4 cores, 8 threads, clocked at 3.4 gigahertz. Really good CPU. Definitely like the way this thing performs, and great bang for the buck. And if you're going to be doing this swap, go ahead and get the CPU. Go out and do it right. If not, you got to go back and forth. But in this case, we're just going to do everything now, because once we put it in its new home, we're going to flip it to our customer, and everybody should be happy. So next thing that we need to put some thermal paste, and then we'll talk about doing our new heatsink upgrade. So for our heatsink, what we're going to do is we're going to pop this one in. Like I said, i71C, whatever it is. There we go. And it comes with the back plate. We don't need it because with these lovely computers, they're kind of glued back here or something like that. I think they're screwed on. Yeah, I guess they're screwed on. However they're done, it's already on there, so we don't need this, and this will actually save it for our other heatsink in case we have to use the other heatsink for another build or project. So this is our lovely upgrade that we're going to be doing. And as you can see, it already has thermal paste on it, which makes life so much easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop it in, and if you look, it has the RGB connector that we need. We're not going to plug this into the motherboard. This one comes with an adapter where we can use our SATA. So if you wanted to outside of Optiplex or Precision, if you wanted to plug this into your RGB of your normal motherboard, you can, but in this case, we'll just use actually, is this SATA? We'll use our Molex power, so keep that in mind. It has Molex, and I hate that people still use Molex, but manufacturers. But anyways, alright, so let's get this in. Let's screw this thing on, which should be the standard mount. Alright, so that's screwed in, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our first adapter. Our first adapter is this 5-pin to 4-pin one. So what we're going to actually go ahead and do is pop this in here like so. And don't worry about the cable management for now. We'll clean it up later. We're more focusing on the how-to of this, and everything will get prettier as we go. So we got that in there, and as you can see, we're ready to rock and roll with that one. So now for this one, what we go ahead and do is we'll take the adapters that it comes with. In this case, our lovely, lovely Molex. You gotta love Molex. Now you can get a Molex to SATA adapter. That is something you can do, which maybe in the future I would do that for another build or something. Let's go ahead and pop this in right over here, and then we'll use this little adapter it comes with, and I'm not going to go over the scientific aspects of this, just kind of plug it in like so. Make sure the little arrows match over here like so. And there you go. So now we're ready to enjoy our RGB goodness, and the cool thing about this is that you can color configure it how you want, and you don't have to use any third-party software for it, which I'm very anti third-party software. So now that we have that done, let's go ahead and take all our other junk out of here. Let's talk about the next set of adapters. So the next set of adapters that you're going to need, which we talked about in the last video, is this one. This is our power supply one. We're going to be using a different video card that needs PCI Express power, so we need to use a real power supply to say the least. This goes plugged in such as so, like that. Easy, simple, we have that ready. Now you can do this while this is in the case, but I'm doing this now just so you can see exactly how it goes and how simple this is, which this is about as simple as it gets. The next one are these adapters for the front I/O. So it makes it easier so you don't have to do wire splicing or anything, and it makes this so much quicker to do. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take this, and you need to make sure when you're using this, the instructions talk about it, is that you make sure you have them in the right orientation. If you do not have them the correct orientation, I'm pretty sure bad things would happen. I don't know exactly what happened, but might short out, might not fire up, who knows. So that one goes plugged in right over there. Very simple and easy. And pretty much when you're looking at the lettering, you want to be able to read it. So if it's upside down, that's usually a good sign that it hasn't been installed properly. Now our next one is going to go, and just looking at it, just like so. There we go. Yep, that's going to go just like that. And that's going to go on the bottom right over here. We can get that in. Bingo. And now you're done. You have everything set up on the motherboard to go ahead and put in a new case. Power, new fan, upgraded CPU, memory. You're ready to go, and it's just like building another computer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to pause 1 second. Okay, so the attent viewer, if you notice, I plugged this into the wrong header. This one needs to go into the one that says fan CPU. Right there. And this one over here, this fan one, which is going to be for our rear 120, is going to go up here like that. So now we're ready to go. Now we're ready to put it into our motherboard. So let's go ahead. Let's pop it in the case. And we'll just do a quick tutorial and show you how to do that. And we'll see how she looks. Alright, so we have our other case over here. I'm not going to bore you with the details of putting the power supply in there. That's very straightforward in that. Have our 3 Thermaltake, I forget which one these are, 12225 fans, I don't remember, they've been in here for a while, plus this case fan over here. So first thing you want to do is take your rear I/O, pop it in. If you don't have this, it's not the end of the world. It just becomes aesthetic. I mean, it is good protection for the back, but like I said, if you don't have it, some cases you can't swap them over. I believe the small form factors, they're not swappable. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, if you don't have it, not the end of the world. Next thing you want to do is take your lovely new updated Dell Precision T1700 motherboard and just kind of slide it in where it needs to be. Bingo. Now once we have those in there, let's go ahead and now screw down our motherboard, which is straightforward. Alright, there we go. So now, the next thing that you want to do is this power cable, we're going to tuck it to the back. That way it will unite with our power supply in the back. If you're not a big fan of this, which I'm not, I don't like these colors over here, you can tape these up, which I might do that later, but you can tape these up with some cloth tape, which right over here, or electrical tape. That works pretty good. I've actually spray painted these in the past, and that works decent. I'll put a link to that video over there. And they do sell the ones with the cloth tape. I just couldn't find them for a decent price. Or if you're pretty good at doing those, what do you call those paracord ones or whatever ones, just kind of sleeving it, then that will work ideal. So let's just kind of slide this to the back, and I think I'll do it this way. Yeah, and that'll be fine for now. All this cables and mess and mumbo jumbo, slide it to the back. Now this one over here, like we talked about, this is our adapter, so we can use our case fan. So we're kind of going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to run all these cables through the back. That's pretty much the most part right over there. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to switch that over. Now the next thing that we want to do is our front I/O, our power button and power switch and all that stuff. So, okay, so our power switch is right over here, and it was kind of mated with the other one. So if that's the case, just kind of pull them apart. But our power switch is going to go right over here, and at the top over here it says power switch. That's where that's going to go plugged into. Pop that in, we're done. Now the next thing we're going to do is our USB 3. That's going to go right in here, plugged in. And for the front, let's see, we have the reset, our hard drive, and our power LED, which if you look down over here, pretty much all we have is our hard drive LEDs. So we'll go ahead and we'll pop that in. Positive right through there. Now as far as the reset and the power LED, I think the power LED is over there, and we don't have a reset button, but I mean honestly it's not the end of the world. So let's go ahead and let's unwind this power LED one, and that way we'll fish it to the top. So our power LED goes up over here. I don't know if that zooms in over there, but it's on the bottom of it. So if you have the switch, you have 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows. The third row is going to go right over here, and it will be just like this. And then, so our power LED is going to go right in here. So you have 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows. Once you do that, put it on the bottom one, positive and negatives, and we'll clean all this up. This is going to get cleaned up afterwards, so try not to stress too much about that. Our USB 2.0 matches up now, and the same thing with our front audio. So let's go ahead and let's plug these in. All right, and you are pretty much done as far as doing this swap. Everything else is basically simple as building a computer. Of course, you're going to run your CPU power all the way up here, which we'll do that, which that's standard. Your video card is going to fit in just like normal. Run your PCI Express slot over here, plug in your hard drive. So let's do a quick montage of me cleaning this up, making this look properly, and then we'll show you the final product, and we'll see how it goes. Pretty easy, not too bad. So as you can see, using all the adapters that we had purchased, this swap was simple. As you saw as it boot up, No errors, no fan, no nothing. Now, one thing I did forget to mention, and it's actually something I learned, is that you will get an error for air temperature sensor unless you disconnect that sensor and take it with it. All it is a little small little 2-pin. I don't know if we can get it in over there. Of course, you're in the way. Let's see. I don't know if you see the white little connector over there with the 2 little black wires. All this little air temperature sensor, just connect it in, tuck it somewhere. I mean, it's so small and minute. Yeah, it's just real simple and easy. Just go ahead and do that. That'll get rid of that error. But no front panel I/O error, no power switch, whatever. No fan error. And as you can see, we were able to upgrade our CPU fan, put something a little beefier for better cooling and efficiency, and add ourselves a little RGB bling. And if we were to sell this, we could definitely get more profit out of it, primarily because number one, people love RGB, and not to mention, hey, it's a good gaming computer. Our Xeon E3 1240 works phenomenal, performs great. Our R9 270 is a good starter card to get our feet wet and get us running, but eventually we could pop in a 1070 or RX 570 with our 500 watt power supply over here. We definitely have option and room. 16 gigs of RAM, 120 gig solid state hard drive, and this computer is a pretty decent gaming computer. Still more upgrade path, like I said, with a better video card. We can also go to 1270, which is slightly faster than an i7 4th gen, but for now, works great. So question, how much did we spend on this? How much did this cost us? Well, the Xeon that I got, I paid $60 for it, so already $60, $40 for the power supply, puts us at $100, $60 for this is $160, our CPU was $40, so $200. And the case and the fans, you can use any one you want. Let's just say $50. So $250, we actually have a pretty decent gaming computer, everything we need, ready to go. Now the thing to keep in mind, prices will vary. I got pretty lucky with the Precision T1700. I think I got it so cheap because I only had an i3 4th gen, but $60 for a, or $40 for a Xeon, whatever price I said, really makes up for the difference. So very simple, very easy. You can do this. I hope this little more in-depth how-to guide shows you and answers a lot of questions that I've been getting about, you know, doing these swaps and everything. The only difference that you will have with the Optiplex that I can see is, depending on the Optiplex, you probably might not need this power supply adapter. You might not need these fans adapters. These front panel adapters right up here and right down here, they vary depending on models. I'll put a link to the website. You can check it out to see which ones you need. I know the 390s use a different type of ones over there. The Optiplex use something different. So look at your motherboard, figure out the model you need, determine if you're going to need the power supply one, if you're going to need the fan one, and that's going to determine what you're going to need to buy to make this swap a lot easier. And by doing this, we can give this Precision the custom look that we wanted. So comment down below, let me know what you think. Pretty cool build, something you guys need to do. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm always willing and available to answer questions about your swap and everything. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and as always, we'll see what we come up with next.